Investment properties are incredible, but finding a tenant is daunting, and even worse, finding the right tenant. So in today's video, I'm going to be covering everything from A to Z about finding the right tenant for your investment property to minimize the risks, the amount of stress and headaches. If you don't know me, I'm Deanna Kalena, and this channel is for everybody and anybody interested in wealth, mindset, homesteading, and real estate. So if this is your jam, hit subscribe and let's stay connected. All right, let's dive into it. Today, we're going to be covering absolutely everything about finding the right tenant for your place, because this is what I'm doing right now. As a realtor, I have a lot of clients that are terrified of buying into an investment property. Not for the fact that the returns or the rental income or even the market, like it's not even that. They are pre-approved, they have the money, they have the down payment, and they're terrified of getting themselves an investment property because of the tenant. We see online a lot of things that talk about the nightmare tenants, the absolute horrible tenants that destroy your property, don't pay rent for 6 months, and worse. We don't hear about the good tenants. There are some incredible tenants out there. We have a number of properties which we have tenanted, and we've been very fortunate, but also very careful on who rents our place. And this is exactly what I do. Here are all the tips you'll need to find the right tenant so you don't get a nightmare tenant. First things first, what type of property do you currently have to rent or want to buy? Are you going to be furnishing the property, or you're going to leave it vacant and not furnished? If you are furnishing it, what's really cool, because you could target a client that's maybe a corporate client and they have employees that are flying in and out of that city and staying there for maybe a couple times a month. It's a really great way to get really good rental, and your tenant is only there a few times a month, maybe a few times a week. So of course the wear and tear on the property and on the furnishings isn't so bad. And then of course, if you have a non-furnished property, perfect longer term tenants that will of course have to have their own furniture. Is it a vacation home? If it's a vacation home because maybe you're vacationing there, so then your rental would of course be short-term rental, so you wouldn't be looking for a long-term tenant. Is it a house? Is it a townhome or condo? And with condos or townhomes with the strata, you're going to have to keep in mind the strata bylaws. Are there pet restrictions? In British Columbia, we don't really have rental restrictions anymore, but are there rental restrictions? Are there age restrictions? So that is something that you do have to keep in mind when you are renting it out to someone else, because you do have to abide by the bylaws. Is there going to be move-in fees, move-out fees? So those things are something to consider as well. And who's paying for that? I think one of my biggest tips is not to be in a rush to find a tenant. Take a month, take 2 months, whatever it is. Yes, you're going to take a loss, but it is, again, about finding the right tenant, not just any tenant. Trust me, it will be worth it. And most landlords, they focus on the rental amount, not the person that they're renting to. And that's what we're going to switch right now. We're going to think about the person that we're renting to, not necessarily the amount that we're renting for. Secondly, ask yourself, what is the right tenant for you? For example, if it's a 1-bedroom, you're not going to want a family with 2 kids and a dog and a cat in there. They're just not going to be happy. There's just not enough space in a 1-bedroom for them. Also, do they have a job? Are they going to be able to pay the rent? Will they be able to take care of the property and maybe landscaping? Is that something you want them to do? Are they responsible? Are they going to be partying and drugs, alcohol, smoking inside? Those things are really important to assess as well. Do they have pets? What type of pets are you going to be okay with? And how many? Cats, dogs, etc. Are you looking for a short-term renter or a long-term renter? And going back to stratas. So if you are renting out a strata, keep in mind that you have to also consider that. Is there an age restriction? Is there a pet restriction, and so forth? So that is something to consider as well when you're looking for a tenant. So do ask yourself, what kind of tenant am I looking for? And number 3, what should be in your ad? You're going to be advertising for this tenant. So what's going to be in there? I find that I see a lot of rental ads that are not complete. They're just not enough. There's not enough substance, kind of meat and potatoes, so to speak. So this is what I would suggest to make sure you have in your ad. I think to sum it up, have everything that anyone would ask you in the ad, and be honest. You don't need to waste anybody's time, and they don't need to be wasting your time with questions that are already in there. How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Size? Are they tiny? Are they big? Those things are going to be important. You might want to put measurements in. I don't know, but at least a somewhat of a description of the bedrooms is going to be key. Does it have air conditioning or does it not have air conditioning? Does it have laundry or is it shared or maybe no laundry at all and it's off-site? Spacious, and be realistic. Is it spacious? Is it cozy? Small, as realtors say. Again, so that is something to be really honest about because size matters. I'm kidding, but honestly it does. Like if somebody has big furniture or they need the space for, maybe they have family dinners and gatherings, and all of those things are really important. When you say it's a large dining room, like what is that? Or maybe they want a small cozy place because they don't want to do all the cleaning and maintenance of everything. They just want to keep it small. How much is rent and what does it include? Does it include utilities? Do you accept pets? Have it right in the ad if you're going to be considering pets or not. You can put dogs and cats upon approval, or only dogs or only cats or no pets, whatever it might be, put it in the ad. If it's a house or a condo, again, stratas and so forth, so that's going to matter. Location, I wouldn't necessarily put the address, but you could definitely put approximate location to walking or driving. Do they need a vehicle? Do they can walk to the stores and so forth? So I like the location aspect of it, just to have approximately where it is. When is it available? So I put, for example, most recently I've been looking for a tenant, so I've put that it's available from December 1st onwards. I don't want to just have the tenants that are available for December 1st. I am open to anybody January, February, March, etc. So again, finding the right tenant is more important than the tenant for the time frame that you need it. Include photos. They don't have to be professional photos, but decently nice photos of all the rooms, all the bedrooms, the exterior of the property, what's included, like if there's a backyard or a shed or anything like that. Do include some photos just so the tenant has an idea. And again, just to kind of narrow down the inquiries and make sure you're getting the right inquiries for that place. Ask potential inquiries to write something about themselves. When they just send you a message, is it available? Or I want to see it, or I am interested. It doesn't give you enough information about the tenant. So if I get people to write a little bit more about themselves, who they are, who's going to be living with them, do they have pets and so forth. I love a little description, just makes it a little bit more personal. So I do ask for that right in the ad. And this is optional. I don't usually put it, but if you want to weed out some of your prospective tenants, I would say that you're going to be doing a criminal check. I don't know if you want to do one or if you're going to do one, but if you put it right in the ad, you're definitely going to weed out some people maybe that would be worried about that criminal check or a credit check. That might be another one that you might want to put in there. So again, you're going to be weeding the people out that are worried about that. So that might be a really, really great tip, just to say that is something you might be doing, pre-qualifying on a tenant for that place. Now here's a bonus. I love doing this and I've had so much success with this, is doing a walkthrough video. We all have cell phones and it's quite literally just walking through that whole space, the front yard, assuming it has one, the shed, the patio, the deck, the kitchen, the living room, and so forth. Just walk through your phone and just give an authentic walkthrough video. And it doesn't have to be part of the ad, but it's going to be available if somebody's maybe out of town. I've had amazing tenants that were not in town and were able to make a decision on a rental just based on that walkthrough video. You can upload it free on YouTube, just get an account. It's completely free with an email and it's really easy to download. You can have it as an unlisted video and then you have a link to share. So I do that all the time. I actually do it for my real estate stuff for sale too. It just really gives people an authentic view of the space and just a walkthrough so they really have an understanding of the space. So I know that was a long spiel, but I think it's a really, really great bonus and I would absolutely do it. I almost will put it as a must do. And tip number 4 is before the tenant actually moves in. Maybe they're not in chronological order, but here we go. I would say paint the place, make it look a little bit crisper, a little bit nicer. So every tenant will most likely have the little wear and tear of moving furniture, putting up pictures and holes in the walls and so forth. So unless they're just really, really bad. But most tenants on a regular that I would still give them the deposit back. That's just regular wear and tear, no big deal. So paint the place before the next tenant. Make it look a little bit homey, a little bit nicer. Fix up what needs to be fixing. If there's a little bit of a drip in the sink, fix that up. If there's a light bulb that's out, why not put a new one in? Just little things like that will really add to the feel of the space for the new tenant. And they will take a lot more pride in their home. And most important, make sure that everything important is working. Your heating, your cooling, your appliances, make sure that everything included in the rent and in the rental is in working order. The tenant will most likely have their own personal content insurance, but as a landlord, you do need home insurance for the home and the appliances and so forth. So it is important that you have your tenant insurance in place. So it is home insurance, but it is as if it was rented out. And clean it if it needs cleaning. Everybody's idea of clean is different. So do give it a little bit of another clean, get a cleaner in there for an hour or two, whatever might be. Roll up your sleeves, just make sure it's a little bit tidier than it was before for the tenant to be ready to move in. Tip number 5, here's my whole process. So let's dive right into it. So here's what I do to absolutely find the right tenant every time. Urgency's everything. And this isn't about finding the tenant. It's about your urgency to look for the right tenant. So I give myself like 2 weeks. So I write the ad, I take the pictures, whatever might be the video, whatever, or I use the ones from previously, assuming the place looks the same. And I'm urgent and purposeful. I put that ad everywhere. Now here in the small community, Facebook is my go-to because that's really where it is, but it could be Kijiji, Craigslist, in the newspaper, anywhere and everywhere. Put that ad out. Make that visible to absolutely everybody. You don't want to leave any rock unturned. I give myself 2 weeks. If I find the right tenant, perfect. If I don't, we move on. Because if it takes longer than like a week or two, a lot of the times you're going to lose the really good tenants. They're going to go somewhere else because they're obviously keep looking. And if you're not getting back to them, or you're stalling, or you're not able to get to it because life is busy, let's face it, this is like, for me, it's like another full-time job in the 2 weeks that I'm looking for a tenant. So the good tenants will most likely find something else. Honestly, it's not fair if you don't get back to the tenants and leave them in limbo and not let them know that they're maybe not the right fit for your rental. So it is important to get back to people really quickly. The good tenants, you want to snatch them up, and the not so good tenants that maybe are not the right fit, you want to let them know right away so they can move on. Of course, after advertising, you get all these inquiries. They want to show the place. I do back-to-back showings. Everybody's busy. I do 15-minute slots on like a Saturday or whenever. And depending on how many inquiries I have and what their availability is, I try to squeeze that in either after work or on the weekends for the tenants. So 15-minute slots that are in and out. But I want to do that personally. I want to be there personally because that makes a big difference when you get to meet them, because they'll look different on paper. When you personally meet them in person, you're going to have an indication. You're going to have a gut feeling. And to tell you the truth, spoiler alert, a lot of it is on the gut feeling. A lot, so listen to that. And of course, if you are showing it and you're inconveniencing the current tenant there, they are possibly still in there, it is important to, schedule those days. Do like 2 days or something like this and have all your tenants kind of go through in that time slot, show them around. And I ask them questions. I try to connect. I try to get familiar with them, see if there's any red flags that pop up. But it is important to kind of say, okay, well, what's going on there? And get a feel for the people that they are. And I look for things like, were they on time? Were they respectful? Were they excited about the place? I know it's crazy, but I love to see a tenant that's excited about the place. That makes me feel like they're going to maybe take better care of it. They're going to respect it and appreciate it more. They have respect for me. They have respect for my time, their time slot. And I'm fair to everybody. Everybody that comes through, even if I don't feel that maybe they're the right fit, they will get an application and they will get a fair shot. So after the tenant has seen the place and they like the place and they want an application, they will receive one. But then I would ask them to get that back to me in a pretty decent, timely manner. There's no reason for that to take more than a day or two. So I do hope that they will do that with references and everything. And I will talk about that later on in this video. But those things are really, really important because, again, we're talking urgency. We want everything done in a week or 2 weeks, or we're starting from scratch. So what I do immediately after that prospective tenant leaves, like let's say they had their 15-minute slot, we connected, we chatted a little bit, I learned a little bit about themselves, about who's going to be living in the property and so forth. and I go back and I take notes. So how I felt about the person, if I felt they were the right fit for the property, and just anything that kind of sparked and anything that my gut told me, I will take some notes so I remember later when I am reviewing the applications. And I don't make it complicated for them to get the applications back to me. I will give them the option to either take a photo of the paper application, scan it in, send it however they want to do it, drop it off. But I just don't want to make it complicated and just say, oh, it has to be scanned in a PDF, etc., etc. Make it easy. Send me a photo. No big deal. Text it to me. Want to move this process along and efficiently. And then going back to finding the right tenant, I would rather keep this place vacant for a month or two if I don't feel in my gut and obviously on paper and the application and all these different things that it's not the right tenant. So will you lose money? Yes. Will you be responsible for utilities, all these things for the month, and mortgage and all those? Yes, it's going to be. But it's way better to have it vacant than finding the wrong tenant because you feel rushed. Tip number 6, reviewing applications. And of course, you have your notes when you've met them. And if you didn't meet them, I would do a Zoom call. There's nothing like seeing a person kind of face to face, so to speak. At least a Zoom call with a prospective tenant if they are not physically there. I'm giving myself a week, maybe 2, to find the right tenant. If I don't, I start over. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is important. And if none of them are the right tenant for your space, if you don't feel right about any given tenant, you let them know. Let everybody know. Be fair to them. Take a little time off and start fresh. Put the ads out. Get yourself out there again. I know it's a full-time job. Just start showing the property again and do the process over and over as long as it takes to find the perfect tenant for your place. And tip number 7, what I look for in an application. Job, of course. I'm hoping that they're able to afford the rent and still be able to live. So usually what's advised is like 30 to 35% of their gross income. And of course, I call their employer. So we want to make sure how long they've worked there, just verify some employment information, dig deeper than just their income. What's their character like? Do they show up on time? Does the employer feel good about them? Does he have nice things to say freely and honestly? Or is it like pulling teeth and you're just trying to get some information from them? So definitely be intuitive and just have a conversation with them about that employee as a person as well. So we want to, of course, call the references that they have provided as well. And know that these references have been prepped, so they know that you're calling. And hopefully they answer the phone and they're available to talk to you, but they know that you're calling and they've already spoke. We all have been there, right? Like we call our reference, hey, can you give me a good reference? And of course, that's the person that I'm going to put as a reference. So you might want to even dig deeper, get a contact of a contact, a friend of a friend that knows the same person, or another employee, of course, that they would work together, and then there's an opportunity there, then they wouldn't be prepared, and you can really get some honest information regarding that potential tenant. Call their current landlord. Of course, that goes without saying. But and I don't usually do this if my gut tells me that all the right things are there. So I would even call the current landlord and then ask them for the past landlord, or ask the tenant even to give me that information. So you're not only calling their current landlord, but their past landlord as well. I think that's really important just to see what kind of history in being a tenant, they've moved out, what kind of place did they leave the place in, have they paid rent on time, and just in general, were they respectful of the home? And this day and age, Google, social media, stalk them on the internet. I know it's a little creepy, but it's important. What kind of image do they have online, on social media? Are they partying it up every weekend with their friends, and there's videos and photos of that on their Facebook? Anyways, not to judge, but those might be an insight on what the tenant's going to be like in your home. Are they going to be throwing parties every night? And if you want to do a credit check, you can. I usually don't. I just think that if they paid their rent with the previous landlord and their current landlord and so forth, I'm not usually too concerned about getting a credit check. But if you feel a little iffy about that, I would absolutely suggest that. And living in a small town, I have the advantage of asking around because somebody usually knows somebody and everybody knows everybody else. So it is really easy to kind of ask around if somebody knows that person and get some information on them like that. And then again, this would mostly speak to their character, not necessarily their income or anything like that. Just like a casual conversation. Hey, what did you think of this person? So grain of salt, but still doesn't hurt to ask around. And ultimately, again, goes back to my gut feeling. So a lot of the times, assuming all the references are good, it does go back to my gut feeling and how I feel about the person, their character, and that potential tenant. When we were moving from the coast and we were renting our townhouse there, I had what I thought was the perfect tenant. So they came through the property. They were a young family. They seemed absolutely perfect for this property, and I wanted them to be the perfect tenant. I really, really did. I called their references. I called their employer. I called everybody I could, but their employer was like the landlord. And things just didn't really always make sense. So once I kind of dug and asked different questions and talked to different people, things didn't line up. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And I really wanted them to be the right people. I really did. In this case, my gut would have probably steered me in the wrong direction because I really wanted this for them. I thought they were perfect for the community and they were perfect like for this place. I just felt really good about them. My heart went out to them. They were just a young family, but nothing made sense when I was doing these reference checks, and nothing lined up, and everybody was telling me a different story. And I even gave them the opportunity. So I messaged them and I gave them an opportunity to kind of tell their part of the story, why things didn't match up. And I never heard from them. So I knew that I did the right thing by digging so deep. I dug so deep because I really wanted this place for them. I really wanted these references to be wrong. So long story short, we went with our plan B tenant, and it was the best thing we've ever done. And it was just the right thing. And their references were great. They didn't have too many, but we dug a little deeper and the second option was awesome. So definitely did the right thing by almost not following my gut and just doing the research. In hindsight, it could have been really bad. Tip number 8, red flags. So what to look for? The tenant is rushing for immediate possession. Like they want it right away. They're rushing. They're pushy. They're offering extra money per month. They're cash. Like they just want to get in. They're very eager. And yeah, and that stuff that never sits well with me, but that would definitely be a red flag. Refuse credit checks, background checks. The references don't necessarily match up, won't want to give up their landlord references or previous landlord references, or any references or they don't want you to call their employer, and their story changes. Like there's gaps in their story. Like every time you talk to them, and maybe you ask them the same question but differently, and there is gaps and things just kind of don't line up. So if they don't make sense, the spidey sense kind of goes up, and that's part of the gut feeling. When things don't make sense to you, they're probably red flags. And tip number 9. So this is once you already chosen a tenant, and hopefully the right tenant, so you know the tenant that's going to be moving into your place. Make sure you fill out the agreement fully. I can't stress this enough. Put it in writing. In this day and age, there's no reason why not to be able to put it in writing. We don't even need to fax things. Like we can digital signatures. We don't have to print things even. There's so much opportunity to be able to do this properly in writing. On that topic, tip number 10 is an additional items to the rental agreement. Outside of your standard rental agreement where you have how much rent is for how long and when does it start, what the deposit is there pets, is there a damage deposit for the pet? I like to also include an addendum. So for me, for example, no smoking in the house. If there's a pet, I want to make sure that that's in there and there is a damage deposit for the pet as well. Usually, if it's a cat, I won't do very much. If it's a dog, probably a little bit more. But those things are really important to me. So that's in the contract in addition to just your standard stuff. Who's taking care of the utilities? That's another one. How many parking spots? What's included in the rent? So for us, it's again, the appliances, of course, garbage pickup, taxes, and so forth. That's all going to be included in the rent. But what's the tenant taking care of? Heating, cooling, so their own utilities, power utilities, and everything. That's going to be taken care of by the tenant. how many vehicles, parking spots, where they're parking, storage sheds, do they have access to that, or is that shared with another tenant possibly? Are they maintaining the yard, or is that something you're doing? For us, we like to have our tenants take pride in the home, and we do ask them to make sure that they maintain the yard. Is your tenant going to have personal content insurance? I would say yes. I would advise that. Make sure that they have personal content insurance. For a tenant, it isn't that much. You have your own insurance on the home. They should have personal content insurance. That should be in the agreement. And in some cases, and most recently for us, I took a chance on a tenant that's young. It's a young couple, and I just felt right about them. And I took it one step further, and I put a guarantor on their agreement. So that guarantor will take care of any utilities and expenses that maybe, hopefully not, but this tenant might not be able to cover. So it's just a little bit of a cushion for us and a little bit of security as well. Tip 11, walk through pre-inspection. So it's like a condition report. I do have a sheet that I found online, and I just kind of go through every single room and do a condition report with them. So this is what you're going to be doing at the beginning of the tenancy and at the end of the tenancy. It has to be signed by the landlord and by the tenant. So it's a pretty detailed condition report saying the condition of like the walls, the windows, the appliances, and you just kind of go through it. I can send it to you guys if you want, just leave me a comment, but you just kind of go through every single one of them and just approximate what condition are they in. Is it fair? Is it good? Is it great? Is it poor? And then when that tenant moves out, you want to do that condition report with them. So you come back with the same condition report and be like, okay, well, this was in good condition, now it's in poor condition, what's going on there? And you can potentially hold back some of that damage deposit if it's a big deal. And tip 12, once you have your tenant in place, they're moved in and they are happy. And at this stage, you as the landlord are not done. You are not just sitting around waiting for the rental checks to come in and call it a day and forget about it. Most important thing is be a good landlord at this stage. Don't be a slumlord. I mean, oh my goodness, this gives landlords such a bad reputation, just as bad as tenants. Like landlords are always seeing the bad tenants, but the tenants are seeing that there are bad landlords out there. So don't be that landlord. If something needs fixing, fix it right away as quickly as humanly possible. If something needs attention, if your tenant is trying to reach you, get back to them right away. It is a form of respect that goes both ways. So super important. Be a good landlord, especially if you're demanding a good tenant. For us, it's really important to provide a safe home. That's the first thing I think about. So when we bought our rental place in town, the first thing we did, because after the inspection, we realized that the electrical panel was not great. I don't know if it probably wasn't to code. A lot of DIYing happened in the electrical panel. So what we did, we made sure that before we ever even thought about getting a tenant in, we completely replaced the panel. Did it cost us? Yes. But is it worth it? Absolutely. To have the peace of mind that our tenants and our home is safe, fix anything, make sure the home is safe, there's no mold or anything like that. So those things are really, really important. And I can't stress that enough. I can't. We're always asking to have good tenants, but we need to be good landlords as well. And I don't know where you're watching from, but in British Columbia, we have rent control. So it is even more important to have great tenants because we're not able to raise the rent, whatever we want, because our mortgage interest rates went up or whatever it might be. We're only allowed to raise the rent a certain amount. It's per inflation. So like 3%, 2.5, whatever it is for that year, we're not able to just raise the rent because we feel like it or because that's what the new rent is. So it's even more important because you can't just ask a tenant to leave. You very, very strict and very limited to what you can do as a landlord in terms of evicting a tenant and it's a nightmare. So again, so important, especially where you have rent control, to make sure that you are getting the right tenant in and you are a good landlord and it's a mutual respect. Because number one, you can't really raise the rent a whole lot, even though if your expenses are going up, because let's face it, property taxes, insurance, interest rates, everything is going up, but the rents are only allowed to go up a certain amount. So keep that in mind. So get the right tenant for the right rent. Like don't overcharge them or anything like that, because I think it's way more important to have the right tenant than a tenant that's going to pay a lot. But right at market value, this is really important. And this goes into my next point, if you are thinking of selling your place in the next few years, make sure your rent is at market value. I will definitely do a video on this. So do come back and check it out. I will do a video on selling tenanted properties because again, that's super important. So have decent rent and make sure you have a good tenant in place. So big disclaimer here, I'm not a property manager. So I would suggest for your specific areas, make sure you connect with your tenancy board. Know what your rules for your area are. They're different for every area, I am sure. I know British Columbia rules and regulations, but of course, I'm not a property manager. So I do manage my own properties because I've been a landlord for many years, but again, not a property manager. A tenant will make your investments incredible, or it could go the other way. It could be a complete disaster. So be a good landlord, find the right tenant, don't overcharge, and you will have incredible investments and you have tenants that will take care of that investment. If you are watching this and you are a tenant and you'll be looking for a property, I do have tips on how to find the perfect rental, perfect landlord, because it is about a partnership, and in my next video, so do check that out. Thank you so much for joining me here and putting up with me on this video. I hope you did find it valuable, and comment below. If you're a landlord, I want to hear from you. If you're a tenant, I want to hear from you as well. So do comment below about your experiences on renting or renting out. Bye for now.